Hello, Providence Church family. My name is Deacon Michael McKinney, and I want to introduce the hymn of the week entitled, Where He Leads Me. You know, this song has very special meanings for me. Growing up as a little boy in rural town America, in my great-grandmama's church, I'd often hear the baritone voices of the senior gentlemen in the church, the elders, and the high-pitched tunes of the mothers of the church singing in an a cappella style. Where He leads me, I will follow. I love this song because the very first stanza tells us why we should follow. It says, I can hear my Savior calling. He's calling us to follow Him. And then it tells us where to follow Him. I'll go with Him and I'll follow Him through the garden. I'll follow Him through the judgment. I'll follow Him through the grace. And I'll follow Him all the way to the glory. What that means to me is that it says, I'll follow Him through the garden. Well, when Jesus went through His garden, it was a garden of suffering and trouble and pain, suffering and distrust and betrayal. We all have those gardens. We all suffer and have to suffer, just as Jesus did. But if we follow Him through our gardens of suffering, and when we get to the other side, we can follow Him through the grace. Because it's His grace that brings us through the suffering. And so I'll follow Him through my suffering and through the grace, because the grace is a spiritual blessing for continuously following Him. And His grace is preparation for the eternal blessing, which is the glory. And so I'll continue to pick up my cross and follow Him because He's calling me. I'll continue to follow Him in spite of my suffering. I'll continue to follow Him so that I can be a benefit recipient of His spiritual blessings. I'll follow Him all the way to the glory. You know, my great-grandmama used to say, Jesus bared the cross alone so all the world would go free. If there's a cross for anyone, there's a cross for me. Providence Church family, pick up your cross and follow Jesus. He's calling us. Can't you hear Him? Follow Him all the way.